Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is BLEAV.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.
This is the BLEAV in the Warhawks podcast, part of the BLEAV network, with hosts Dusty Thibodeau.
I seem to be the only guy they can find to talk to.
And Chase Region.
Just offensive line, man. Still not getting credit for shit, and it's cool.
We're back for another episode. The first one well received. We set the bar too high though, because we went into that with a great agenda of being able to recap the season, and now I feel like it's. So, what'd you do today at work, Chase?
We'll figure it out, Tibbs. I think, with the decline of football season, there's a bunch of conversations we had about transfer portals, future college football, playoffs. I know we're going to be focused on ULM, but there's tons of football still to talk about, even if we are sadly sitting at home.
Yeah, is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, in this day and age of portal, though, Chase, and you being on the inside there, having played, what would it have taken you for you to go hit the portal and try to get out?
It's funny. I have like a saying I like to say that if I was at ULM, during the transfer portal era, I promise you I would have gotten Catfish Charlie's free at least once. But beyond that, I got no clue. I think that, personally, I was in a great situation. I love the city. I loved the city then. I still love the city. I loved the college, and again, still love the college. But I think, I had a pretty decent freshman year, and I think in nowadays world, you're getting looked at a lot more when you do something like when you have a good year like that. And then, I don't know. To me, if I try to put my face in that, myself in those shoes, I think it has to be another good situation. I played really early there at ULM, and I would have had to go, you see some people taking money and transferring just to be second or third string, which is brutal. And I would have definitely made sure I was in the right situation. And it's just like, it's business, Tibbs. I don't know how I would have navigated that. I think the agent thing I'm seeing around here is crazy, but I think, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your family. And I know we have a lot of love and support, and I know that pisses a lot of people off that players say that, but I think you just got to kind of accept part of it and then move forward in that direction, because obviously it's the direction it's been moving. But yeah, money in a good situation. I think it's an underrated thing, though. I don't think people think about, am I going the right offense? Am I going the right defense? Am I going, into where I'm starting and that kind of stuff? But yeah, I think all those things would have kind of factored in that decision. I'm sorry, Tibbs, not to cut you off. I should have said, oh, Tibbs, I would have never transferred from ULM. That's what I should have told you there. No, dude, screw you. Don't try to goat me into that. I'm not doing that.
And now we know why he won't be on the sidelines next year. He portaled out. For me, I was always a basketball guy. And so really the whole street agent concept is not really that foreign of a concept to me, because everyone always had that guy, whether it was their dad, uncle, brother, the street hustler, whoever, that was trying to wheel and deal and get them at the next level, get them to play college basketball overall so that they could sell to this kid over here, that they were able to get that kid in college.
Yeah.
With that said, on the media side, I've also had to talk to street agents that wanted to charge me thousands of dollars to do an interview with somebody.
No, you haven't.
And that went like, I guess I'm just not going to talk to him then.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, have a good day.
Yeah,
What?
but like the recruiting process is so weird though. I mean, in when I went through it, it was make a bunch of copies of VHS tapes, mail them out, hope and pray that A, you had the right address, B,
Yeah,
they
right.
didn't get crushed so that
Right.
when they got there, they could be watched, and C, that somebody was actually going to open these, because I pictured they had, boxes of envelopes
I'm sure they
that they
did.
were going to open it up and go through the VCR tapes to see what was going on. That's how you got on people's radar.
I'm old enough to still have burned CDs, but I don't think I needed to because I kind of do have, and of course I save everything from that, time of life because I'm one of those guys. And but yeah, I have CDs. VHS is, you're dating yourself there, bub.
I'm okay with that. What's sad is in all the moves that I've ever made, 0 highlights. 0. None. Nada. So
Why?
why what?
You just, what do you mean? They just, like, you didn't save them? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, they got trashed or whatever.
That's sad, Tibbs. That would have been the best intro to this podcast is your highlight reel.
Dishing the rock.
That would have been the best. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have done a morph there of the basketball and the football. But looking at schools, even though, I mean, yeah, I wanted to go to Georgia. That was the place I wanted to go. And it was less about Georgia and all the prestige there because really Georgia wasn't that great at basketball, but they had Tubby Smith. And that was a guy that I really liked his style of offense. I liked the way he coached. Talking with him a couple times, I like the guy. And so I know they always talk about don't commit to the coach. I was trying to commit to the coach, and then wound up hearing from good old Carlos Funtress, assistant head coach at ULM, about going to Northeast. I grew up on the old Southland, with Northeast being on my radar because we always went to Northeast, Northwest games for football, at least.
Yeah.
And so was very familiar with the school. And I was like, yeah, I'm down for that. As long as it's not McNeese and going back to good old Lake Charles, I think I could take care of it.
Well, I'll say that first off, Lake Charles, great place. Daryl's subs, dude. The first time I ate at Daryl's there in Lake Charles, I cried. Okay. And it's not a joke because it's the best po' boy sandwich, whatever you want to call it. Hoagie, I don't care what you call it. It's the best thing you're ever going to put in your mouth. Please don't clip that.
I make no guarantees of what I like that.
Please, don't make that into the intro.
Although the intro in your offensive line was definitely when I had people text me that probably didn't even listen to the show beyond the intro, they were like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, well, it's true. And it was a stupid thing that I even talked about. But, hey, they put the O lineman on the sideline, which is hilarious to me that Hammett did that as a sideline. Anyways, yeah. I recruited. I have a similar story for recruiting. I went to, my head coach was Mickey Moss there at Rockwall Heath High School. His son, Austin Moss, actually transferred from Arkansas to ULM, was a good linebacker for ULM. And so I had the connection there. And then once my mother met Todd Berry, she said, that I think that's the guy you're going to go play for. And from day one, I've always loved the city. I had a really great group of offensive linemen I came in with, 2 of which transferred out, which were great guys, and I really loved. And then Frank Sutton ended up playing, all 5 years there at ULM, 4 on the field, and was an all-conference guy. So we had a really great incoming class. Loved the city, and I didn't know any offense. You talked about how you knew an offense. I had no clue. Honestly, I had no clue what offense I wanted to go to. And as a 6'3" right tackle, I probably shouldn't have gone to an air raid, but I mean, we had, we slung that thing. So anyways, it was a similar story there. You say don't follow the people, and I don't know how you can nowadays. I don't think you follow any people. I think it's just situation and money, which is kind of sad. The more I said that, the more I heard that come out of my mouth, it kind of was sad.
How crazy is it though? Like even within the Sun Belt, look at Marshall. Marshall
Why?
is essentially moving from Huntington to Hattiesburg.
Yeah.
Their entire roster is in the
Yeah.
portal.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when I was on the sidelines at Marshall, and I don't know how much, I don't know much, how many people you got over there at Marshall, but I just want to say that it smelled weird. And second is that when I was talking to people, they were like, I usually talk to, I don't want, people that are usually on the sidelines. So that's either employees, officers. I'm not going to talk to cheerleaders, or if I talk to the opposing team, it's usually somebody like that. So I talked to them and they were like, yeah, we don't like this guy. And I was like, come on, y'all are in the, Sunbelt hunt. And obviously that kind of took them to the next level in Sunbelt East. But yeah, they were like, yeah, we just don't like this guy. He doesn't want to stay. Nobody wants him here anymore. I thought, what a wild thing to do for a Sunbelt championship. But hey, it's why the Sunbelt, I say this year in, year out, Tibbs, and I know I'm not on the Funbelt podcast, and I'd love the invite one day, but the number one most competitive conference in America is the Sunbelt. Number two, probably the SEC, especially a year like this. They're very competitive. I'm not saying top tier talent. I'm saying week in, week out, it's so much fun to watch, and it's definitely an underrated gym in America in college football. Here's my soapbox, bub.
It had to be kind of a culture shock that he goes from being essentially the number 2 guy at Alabama under Saban to, he's leading his own program. He's head coach, but you're in Huntington, West Virginia. And that's not a knock on Huntington. I loved it when we were there. It was a fantastic trip. Loved the people, liked the school, loved the story, everything. But he definitely did not know what he was getting into. It's like, Chase, I want you to commit to ULM, but you never get to go to the school until the first day of class.
Yes. Why do you say that, though? Like, why do you say that was his situation? And isn't that kind of his fault?
Is it his fault or is it the agent's fault?
Well, I was about to
his
say
agent was probably the hype man.
That's what I was about to say, is that, Bryant Vincent's agent, here's some more insider baseball, is that Bryant Vincent's agent was up and down in those stands through that, talking to everybody left and right, from medical staff to communication staff, all the above. He had a full scope of knowledge of when he went into ULM, and thankfully he still took it. And by the way, going in there prepared, you don't hear him complain. You hear him tell us what we need to do and how to get through it. And it felt like, at the time that he took that job, that Huff took that job, you got to think it was an okay situation, right? Like, it wasn't, were they just terrible? Do they have a low budget? What's the problem with it?
I don't know if they're like App State where they have the unreasonable expectations or what, but he hasn't really done that bad. It's just like the people in Lafayette that want to fire DeZormo after back-to-back 6-6 seasons. I was like, I would love to be in the year at 6-7.
Back-to-back 6-6 years? Come on.
Well, and they're like, oh, but we lost a bowl game. I would love to be 6-7 for back-to-back years.
Do you know, I was in the stands for ULM's bowl game. It was my senior year of high school. Okay, not to date myself too. But ULM packed that place out, dude. Now, I realized it was in Shreveport, so it was easy to do. And it was the coldest game I've ever been to or played in my entire life. My dad at halftime, who he likes ULM, he has no really affiliation besides me. He stayed in the car for the second half because he was like, I'm done with this, dude. Yeah. Anyways,
If it makes you feel any better, though, I was in the press box covering that game, and it was cold as all get out in the press box. I think they had the air conditioner going.
No, that didn't make me feel better. I was in the nosebleeds because it was a second off Christmas present from my parents, and that sounded really privileged to say out loud, but we were in the nosebleeds, and it was 40-mile-an-hour winds and 25 degrees. And you're telling me that you were in a comfortable press box with air conditioning. I feel terrible for you. You're just as bad as Hammett and McGee, who always are like, Chase, how's the weather down there? And I say, guys, it's raining an inch an hour. It sucks, dude. Get me out of here.
They ran out of pizza also in the press box. I do remember that. Nice. Did that really matter to you that you were, committed to ULM? You go see the bowl game was not a good performance. Were you kind of like, maybe I don't want to go there, or was it like, is what it is?
No, I was excited that they got there, and I don't know if you remember this, Tibbs, but I had broken my ankle for a second time my senior year of high school. And so I think I was still in a boot at that game, at the bowl game. And if not, maybe still in crutches. But no, I was excited they went there. To me, I watched them early and rode that high of that year, just kind of in a similar way, not exactly the same, but in a similar way to this year where you're riding highs of the beginning of the year. And I was excited that they had a really good offensive line, but they were old. You had I knew I was going to redshirt no matter what, because I needed to recover from an injury. And anyways, they were going to have a senior center, a senior guard, and then Joe Tread at left tackle. He was a junior. So I knew they had an older offensive line, which was an attractive situation for me to go into. And so, no, I think you're just excited, to be honest with you. You get to hear about all the, I talked to Austin after the game, and he's like, yeah, dude, I got a recliner. Yeah. Which is a cool bowl gift, dude. You got to admit, a recliner was a cool bowl gift. Especially at 18, you know what I mean? And it says Independence Bowl, and it's pretty cool, dude.
I had to laugh because it seems like kind of the prize suite, or whatever you want to call it, where they give you so many points and different things or different point levels. I saw that the South Alabama had the prize suite for their bowl game there in Montgomery, and you zoom in, and it was like a Ninja food processor and a Keurig. Dude, I was like, "What?
I'm into that.
What now? Would Chase back in college have wanted that?
No, Chase would have wanted the watch or the recliner, and that's probably about it. And I'd taken that check just like all those dudes did in Monroe or in Shreveport, and I'd take it straight to the casino and lost it.
The funniest bowl story I heard about that was old Jairus Edwards, and how it was the first time he had ever gone to a casino and had no idea how to play legit casino craps. And so they would throw the dice and just start jumping, not knowing if they had won or lost everything.
Yeah, roll the 7. Let's go. Oh, Jairus dog. Yeah, we could talk about those days forever, dude. I remember. Yeah, I tell you, Jairus was a scary human being, and taught me the lesson that you have to earn somebody's respect. I'll say that.
I feel like there's more to that story there, Chase.
Jairus, if you want to hear it, I don't know. Jairus was. I walk into his locker, and he had on his locker, because they were kind of close to the offensive lineman. They were kind of a row over, so you could see them. And Jairus he had on his locker rush for 1,000 yards, which I don't know if he did. I think he might have done that his junior year, but was very, very good leader. He led with actions, but he'd also jump you really hard. And I remember messing up one day in practice, and for some reason, Steve Farmer did this to me. I don't know why, but I had just gotten cleared to play the week before we go to fall camp. He sticks me with, knowing I'm going to redshirt, right, Tibbs? He sticks me with the ones, and I'm just messing up left and right because you just don't know how that world works or looks like. And I remember Josh Allen and Jairus Edwards just screaming at me on both sides, and I thought, I die today. This is the day that I die. But we ended up not being worthless, and both Josh and Jairus, I think, developed a little more respect. We'll see. I don't know. I've never talked to him again.
You never have?
Well. I've talked to Josh, and the only thing Josh said to me is he walks up one day. My wife played soccer there at ULM, and we were actually working out together one day. And Josh walks right up to me, looks me dead in the eyes, and says, I have no clue how you pulled such a beautiful woman like her, and walks away. And that's the last words he ever said to me. And I just said, thanks, Josh. He was there rehabbing from the Buccaneers job. Yeah, I'm surprised he remembered my name, to be honest.
Wow.
That guy almost made me quit twice. He kept pancaking me as I was a blocking dummy. Anyways, we're going pretty deep into that, bub. Sorry.
That's why I didn't enjoy football very much. I mean, I was a kicker, so we didn't get the respect.
Shut up.
Oh, wait, if you want more specific,
That's why I didn't enjoy football. I was a kicker.
I didn't even get to really kick. I got to place hold.
Jesus. So you didn't play football.
That hurts.
You worked out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't punters are not people. Placeholders definitely are people.
Technically, my letter was for quarterback. Thank you very much.
Hey, now you know what? And you should have never admitted that. You should just said I was quarterback.
Man, we've gone off the rails.
Yes, we had this 20 minutes of straight off the rails.
This is how bad it is
me
when
sharing
there's no
old,
football.
yeah, me sharing like useless locker room stories and getting bullied by Josh Allen. Oh man, who even knows tips? I know Josh was good, but like I think about that all the time. Like, Josh was a stud at ULM. Okay, was a very, very good all-conference center for ULM. And nobody knew who he was. And the dude looked like Predator. He had real long dreads. He was 315. He ran a 4.8 and he hang cleaned like 425. He was an incredible athlete. The day I watched him not get drafted, I realized I will never play in the NFL.
Did you know he was the highest ever rated recruit until about 2-3 years ago that ULM had ever signed?
Until last year, right? The Hamlin kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Hamlin took his spot, which is crazy. Do you know he was 250 coming out of high school playing center, and he got bullied his freshman year constantly?
Slightly. It's brutal.
Yeah. Put us back on the rails, bud. Put us back. Let's go back. The first one was great. Reviews. The second one's gonna be like, dude, what did y'all talk about?
What did y'all do? Y'all realize y'all recorded that conversation.
Right.
So last time I saw you, Chase, was actually at basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the struggle bus though for men's basketball. Not a whole lot going on. They're struggling as we record this against Arkansas Pine Bluff, up 2 with only 6 minutes left. What happened? Because it seems like it was not too long ago that's when ULM was really not necessarily in the front driver's seat of the Sun Belt, but they were at least middle of the pack, and it was respectable.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, I don't know, dude. When I'm a huge ULM basketball fan. I go to obviously I moved away from Monroe, so I don't go there. But this, I was there at every home game, and last year. You had some offensive production between Mescarish-Feely and Tyreek LaCour, and you lose them. And I think, I thought the natural development of that team was going to be just a really great defensive team. I thought Malik Willis was going to get an expanded role. I was hoping he would develop a little bit more than what I saw them play like. I thought that Dijou was going to come in and really take over the center, and he really struggles with any offensive production at all. I really liked Tyrese Watson last year. Watching him, I mean, he takes a lot of really dumb shots, but also there's sometimes when he's really, really crafty from the mid range. He drives the ball fine. He's developed as a passer this year than what we saw last year, but I think they're just simply lacking. They didn't develop in that defensive team like we thought, or like I thought they were. And then we knew they were going to lose offensive production, and that's hurt them way more to be able to just keep a pace in a game. I mean, the game I went to, which was, who was it? It was, help
UTA.
me out, Thibs. No, it wasn't UTA. It was SFA. It was Stephen F. Austin.
Same thing.
And SFA's got Jesus. And SFA's got got a decent team. They had obviously a kid get really hot towards the end of the game, but you never felt like ULM was you never felt like they were a threat from the three, and this team seems to rely on Jalen Bolden to do a lot, who is a good player. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He plays decent defense. He's got a decent offense production, but you don't have you don't have the third option. I think Tyrese is probably your first option. He carries the ball a lot, and then Jalen. Besides that, I don't really see nobody developed into that like I thought they were going to.
We have no one guard. We do not have the quarterback, so to say, of.
We try to with Tyrese, and they try to sometimes with Jalen, but they're both two guards.
Yeah, and sometimes that'll work where you can kind of get a guy that's a combo, and I think Jalen does good in a pinch, but he's not a one.
Mm-mm.
He wants to shoot, he wants to score, and that's what he's damn good at.
Sure.
The coaching staff has got to find a way to get a one or find somebody that can step in. They do have Castor on the end of the bench. He was 7A Player of the Year last year in Alabama.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
But he's not ready. I mean, he's an 18, 19-year-old kid, and that's not a knock on him, but he's just not ready.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a little time to make that transition from high school, no matter how good you are there and how high of a level you're playing. It still takes some time to get used to the speed and everything of college basketball, especially at the D1 level.
Very few, and I think you see the select few, and people think that's easy to do, but it's a faster game. It's a much more physical game. And I'm sitting here talking. I didn't talk crap about AD because I do think he's a good player, and he's 7 for 7 right now, 14 points. And I'm talking how he doesn't have offensive production, but I think, Jalen Bolden's 0 for 7. I mean, it's stuff like that. He's again a good player, but if you get streaky, it's a tough road. And I hope I'm wrong, dude. I really hope I'm wrong. I want Richard, and I want those guys to have a good year. And I felt like they finally got right culture. I know they struggled. I don't know how much you want to or can go into this, but they really struggled last year with some culture issues. And if you went to the games, you saw them throw some bows at each other, leaving the court. And so, they don't seem to have it that year. That's how they kind of talked in media day. If you listen to Hammond interview Watson, they were saying a lot like, hey, we've got to figure it out. We got a good team. We love each other this year. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is, they always talk about the portal of, are you getting the guy that wants the opportunity, or are you getting someone else's problem? If they didn't inadvertently just take several problems that festered over last year. And really, I think that parlayed and hurt the chances of having a good and successful season this year.
Yeah, maybe like feels like the end or the beginning of a rebuild in a way, but you got to be good at. I mean, this is going to sound so bad. You got to be good at something. We're not great at shooting a free throw. We're not great at drawing fouls. Okay, we again play. We play good interior defense and bad, on the 3-point line, and it's just they can shoot the ball okay sometimes. I feel like they got a decent mid-range, but they really don't go to shoot it. They take some really bad shots. All of them. Everybody takes really bad shots and contested shots a lot, and it just feels like, again, metaphorically and literally, that you're one pass away. I liked that. That was good.
I missed it.
That was good. You're one pass away. That was good.
I also feel like it's not helping that they've had kind of a mass exodus of guys leaving mid-year, that they're now thin. I mean, I think at one point they were only dressing and had on the bench 8 guys. That's not very deep for.
That's tough, dude. That's a long season, bro.
For a physical game, and then just the grind of playing night after night after night after night is really going to. I think we're going to see it by the time conference play starts. These guys are going to be done, and I hope I'm wrong, but I've been around long enough to see it that that's usually where bad things happen.
Yeah. I'm with you. I hate that, but
on the women's side, I feel like Missy Bilderback came in last year and just set the world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that set the expectation of that's what it was going to be year in and year out. This is a good team still, but it's not a great team like we had last year. And it's a tough non-conference slate. And the fact that people are already saying, oh, we're back to sucking, this is bad. This is like the previous coaches that were here, and far from it. I mean, she set up a tough schedule to really push this team, to get them to develop, to get them to be better. Because at the end of the day, sure, we want to beat Alabama and Mississippi State that's coming up. But I think that they would rather be in that front half of the Sun Belt Conference bracket in Pensacola and having a chance to play on that national stage in the tournament than, oh, well, we beat Alabama and didn't win another game.
Yeah. Well, she had a really early, favorable early season schedule last year and took advantage of it and created a lot of buzz and a lot of momentum. And then I think you're right. She, I don't think she's the type of person to cower down to this, but she set expectations incredibly high. And now we all expected them to win, probably sneak one of those top 25 matchups. They've already had two of them. Mm-hmm. And, I haven't watched them as close as I've watched the men, so I can't sit there and analyze what they're good or bad at. But, you lose. Oh, what was that girl's name? She was a bucket, dude. Help me out. Really, honestly, ask yourself, if you're a ULM fan, Tibbs, do you care if they go and beat number 22 Alabama, or do you care if they go and get a top 2, top 3 finish in the Sun Belt? Win the Sun Belt. I'd much rather the latter.
I would too. I mean, it's been a while since we've had some hardware in there. Deja Bradford, I can't remember what she went by last year. Was she Nunu?
Nunu. Yeah.
Nunu. So, yeah, that's where I think we are. I mean, I feel like at least on the surface, it's going to get worse before it gets better. We're a couple weeks away from Sun Belt Conference action starting, and they start on the road there against Coastal Carolina. Should be a fairly decent matchup there, but I think you just got to kind of give it some time and have patience. I hate that fans are already starting to turn when the real season hasn't even really started yet.
Yeah. You still have time. I mean, it's such a long season of basketball, right? You still have time to turn that around. And I think you'll see those same people all of a sudden be talking like, we're good again. It's just kind of how, I mean, it's how basketball can go in general, right? Like you can go on these 6-game skids and win the next 20 just as easy.
So you talk about that of, oh no, we're bad again. Oh good, we're good again. What is success to you? Like what does that look like
in basketball?
Across the board.
I mean, in basketball, it's just not be the last seed if you make the tournament. I mean, we've had such bad, like what Nick Capola and Dang did. Like that was success, I think, for a ULM basketball squad, especially when that gap, we talk about the gap widening in college football between conferences, but the gap in basketball has been wide for a very, very long time. And, the success they had with making the CBIs and making CBI finals, right? And then, that's success. I think making a tournament, doing well in a tournament, winning a few games, making postseason tournaments, I think is success. And you can't change that expectation quite yet. You've got to have a few years of that in a row with likely different coaches to develop a team like that. Now, football is 6 wins to me, and I felt like this year I still, in hindsight, feel like it was a success. But that's because he inherited 73. You had to go get 73 new players. You had no clue what quarterback was going to look like. You had no clue what, I mean, obviously the some players from last year still rang some bells this year, but yeah, it's 6 wins. Make a bowl game, which I guess at ULM is 7 wins, but make a bowl game, compete well in your conference. And to be honest with you, if I'm being real, Tibbs, last year, if Terry Bowden would have beaten Lafayette, I would have said that's a success. Lose any game you want to, you can't lose that game by 40.
Yeah, and I feel like that one game is what did him in.
Well, the way he reacted to the game was poor.
Right.
And he can't, felt like he had no answers, and yeah, I don't want to trash Terry publicly, but it was, I saw a lot, and what I did see didn't lend to a successful culture.
So
for a different podcast, I mean, this same podcast, but probably like 10
a different
more
episode.
Yeah.
So we've done it. We did 2. I have no idea what we talked about in this episode.
A lot
We
of
did talk. I would say, hey Chase, tell us a good story, but I feel like that's all we've done is kind of talk the stories there.
Yeah. Sorry. Next time I'll, not. I mean, I don't know, Tibbs. It's postseason. What do you We talked basketball and we talked, good football. And if you didn't want me to talk football for half the time, why'd we do this?
I do have the question for you though.
Come on.
One of your teammates is now on staff there, and Alec Osborne. Love the kid.
Yeah,
thought he was a great player when he was there.
He was,
and now to have him back home is phenomenal.
Yeah, I was
What
stoked.
are your thoughts there on him?
Well, I think that he leaves ULM, right? He goes to, I hope not. He went to Lafayette at some year, so I'll always hold that against him. And he's a bad person for that. And then he goes to LSU, which makes him a worse person. Then he goes to Baylor, and not a lot of people know this, but I'm originally from Dallas, but all my family lives in Waco, so I kind of grew up a Baylor fan. Grew up going to all their games, selling concessions at their games. So I was stoked for him. Then he's coaching, he's GA on the defensive side, which did make a lot of sense to me because Alec Osborne was a tight end for ULM and a very good tight end until he had a very unfortunate his junior year, he tore his ACL. And remind me to tell that story in the next podcast because it's a funny one. But he tears his ACL and then kind of, ends up he was always a really great leader, both actionably and vocally. He kind of towed that line really well. He's a great, great guy. I know his family and his parents. Alec and I were really good friends at ULM. And it was a pleasure. I was the day he got hired, I saw Coach Vincent. And he came to become my previous place of employment. And I shook his hand and I said, hey, Coach, I just want you to know that he's a great guy from a great family. I'm sure you've done your research, but I'm really happy. I think a lot of Warhawk fans will be really happy he's back home. I think that's somebody – I mean this sincerely. He is – watching him coach, you can see him be a DC. You can see him be a head coach within the next 10 years. And I hope he gets that chance there at ULM. I really do. Now, that's not me chasing Vincent out. I'm just saying, yeah, he's a great guy, and I'm super proud to call him a friend and be able to kind of watch his career from the sidelines. And I got nothing but good things to say about him. I think if you've met him, if you've talked to him, if you had a conversation with him, his wife, he's got a baby on the way. They're beautiful. Just had a baby with his second kid. So they're great people. His wife is an amazing person. So yeah, nothing but great things. He was a great hire, and I'm excited he's back in Monroe. And I hope he stays for a while.
I hope so too. I have the feeling though he's one of those up and comers that might be around another year or two. This is without any kind of inside knowledge, but be around for another year or two, and then go off to maybe a smaller P4 and maybe even in the bigger leagues.
Well, I got a question for you, okay? And this might be the first one and two, and then you can leave me and go to bed. Who is your choice for the next OC? Who's your prediction / choice?
I don't know. And here's part of it. If you bring in a guy that is a run-heavy OC, big picture, what did you really buy yourself other than kind of taking some responsibility off of Vincent? I think you have to have a guy that kind of opens up the offense and does some passing and running. It doesn't have to be a true 50-50 split, but does have that kind of in the repertoire. If it's not that, it doesn't really add value. And then beyond that, do we have the personnel in 25 to run whatever offense this is that this guy's coming in?
The next offensive coordinator for ULM, Tibbs, is going to be Steve Farmer for his third trip back to the University of Louisiana Monroe, where he will bring a heavy pass offense back to the school, and you will have the perfect mixture between the heavy run game that Vincent brings you and the proven pass game that Steve Farmer brings you.
That's pure confidence right there.
He has ties. You ready for this? He has ties to John Hartwell from Utah State. Steve coached from when he was Steve coached while John was there. And he has ties to Vincent, obviously through Alec Osborne. Steve was Alec's OC. And Vincent matches up with him somewhere, or maybe they just know each other. Maybe I might just be wrong about that. And that is my prediction for OC.
I like the bold prediction, and I hope it comes true. Maybe next week we'll be able to break down that hire and probably try to have a couple guests. I have a couple lined up there, Chase. So it's not just us telling war stories and lies.
Because I think episode 2 is enough of that. Yeah.
So it's fun, at least for us. So as long as it's fun for us, we'll keep doing it. So we'll do it again next week there, Chase.
Yes, sir. I'll see you next week.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.